Happy Avatar Day, everyone! And no, I don't mean I'm celebrating the stupid festival in which we commemorate the day when Avatar Aang saved our village from the Fire Nation, even though we tried to kill him despite being at odds with the Fire Nation. And had we killed him, then the Fire Nation would have won the war and overrun our town, kill our man, and turn all our women and children into slaves. And that's the PG version. No, I'm not celebrating that stupid one. I'm celebrating the good Avatar Day, the right way. Because you see, it is February 21st, 2019, which means it is the 14th anniversary of the day Avatar The Last Airbender debuted on Nickelodeon. And I actually didn't even see any advertisements for this show. Like, I was just sitting down one night waiting for the newest SpongeBob, because believe it or not, SpongeBob was actually good back then. And then this new show called Avatar: The Last Airbender debuted, and for some reason I just watched the first two episodes without having any interest in it whatsoever. And by the time the hour-long special was done, I was thinking to myself, that was a pretty good show. I'm a fan now. I'm actually excited to see where they take this. My imagination was just thinking of all types of ways they could take the series. And like, I don't know if any of you have had any similar experiences with TV shows like that, but yeah, that was my first impression of Avatar The Last Airbender. And the funniest thing about the first two episodes is that Sokka and Katara's characters are actually like the complete opposite personality wise from what they are for the rest of the series. Like, if you remember Sokka, which of course you do, he's Mr. Drink Cactus Juice. It will quench you. Nothing's quenchier. Or also, it's a giant mushroom. You know, he was always the character who would be cracking jokes, he would try to brighten everyone's day. Like, even in the darkest episodes, there would always be one or two moments where he would be cracking jokes and making everyone love him. And in the first two episodes, that's not who he is. Instead, he's very strict and offensive. And when he meets Aang, he's like, "You stay away from us. We don't know who you are. Just stay away." And on the other hand, you have Katara, who she becomes the mother figure of the group throughout the rest of the series, and she's very cautious, and she's more strict than anyone else on the team. And in the first two episodes, when she meets Aang, she's just like, "You're an airbender! Oh, this is the greatest thing ever! He'll come back to our village with us. We have to introduce you to Gram Gram and everyone. This is going to be so fun and exciting! Yeah!" And it's, like I said, just a complete opposite of her character. Aang, it turns out, is the only initial member of Team Avatar who keeps his personality throughout the entire series. Like, our first impression of Aang is he wakes up in Katara's arms and he's just like, "Will you go penguin sliding with me?" And he's just happy-go-lucky, and he stays that way for the rest of the series. He has a few moments here and there due to the consequences of things happening around him, and he goes Avatar state and gets angry, and he's like, "You tell me where Appa is!" And he destroys a sand speeder or a sand sled, whatever that thing was called. And he's human. Those moments happen. But for the most part, he is just happy-go-lucky. And then we get introduced to Zuko and Iroh the Fire Nation, and they are hunting the Avatar. Now, Iroh, he is actually really laid back. Like, he's always telling Zuko, "Look, nephew, everything's going to be fine. It will turn out okay in the end. Sit down, let's drink some tea, play some Pai Sho with me, and we're going to have a good night." And, Zuko, he's like, "I don't need any tea! I need to capture the Avatar!" Now, the thing about Iroh's character is he's actually what I would expect Aang to grow up into. Like, Mr. Relax, doesn't have a care in the world. And, "Hey, Sokka, Katara, just sit down, relax, let's drink some tea, everything's going to be fine." But if you remember in The Legend of Korra, there was one episode where Kaya, Bumi, and Tenzin they are arguing, and Kai and Boomy, they point fingers at Tenzin, and it's like, dude, you are so strict and angry. You're just like how Dad was. And I'm thinking, Aang? Aang? Yeah, we're talking about the protagonist of the last series, right? Avatar, Aang, Mr. Will you go penguin sledding with me? He was strict and kind of mean? What? But yeah, like I said, Iroh is what I would expect Aang to grow up into. Zuko, on the other hand, like I said, he's hot-headed, and the best part about his character in the first two episodes is that we actually learn a lot about him, but we don't get exposition dumped on us when we're introduced to him. All we learn about him is that he needs to capture the Avatar in order to reclaim his honor. That's all we learn about him. Then, a few episodes down the line, during the episode with the stone, that's when we learn why he needs to capture Aang and take him back to his father, the Fire Lord. Now, going back to what I said about Sokka, he's strict and he doesn't want Aang anywhere near the village. Well, Zuko is the embodiment of why Sokka is like that, because the world is at war with the Fire Nation. Zuko is the Fire Nation's prince, and they have no mercy for the rest of the world. They come, they invade land, and they will kidnap any other types of benders they can find. Sokka thinks Aang is a Fire Nation spy, and he does not want Aang near the village. Now, at the end of episode 1, Aang gets stuck with Katara. He gets stuck in an old Fire Nation ship that invaded the Water Tribe, the Southern Water Tribe, and they accidentally send a flare up into the sky. And Zuko, he's looking through a telescope. He sees it, and he spots Aang and Katara with it, and he follows them back to the village. So now, instead of Aang being the spy that Sokka thought they were, here comes Zuko, who is actually the real threat. In the meantime, Sokka is very angry, and he tells Aang to leave because he just endangered the entire village. And Katara, she's like, fine, if Aang goes, I go. But Sokka convinces her, like, we're your family. You're really going to choose this random boy who's possibly a Fire Nation spy who just called the Fire Nation our way. You're really going to choose him over us. So, after some convincing from Aang, Katara decides to stay behind, and Aang leaves. And it doesn't sway Sokka's mind at all, because here comes Zuko, and he attacks the village. And next thing you know, Zuko is yelling, where is the Avatar? Bring him to me. And Aang, to prove himself in the eyes of Sokka, he comes penguin sledding, naturally, back into the village, and he gets into a minor dispute with Zuko, and he finally owns the trust of the village by surrendering himself in order for them to survive. And that's the end of episode 1. Now, episode 2, Katara, she's obviously very upset over what happened, and she is yelling at Sokka, who is doing something on the side, and when we finally see what Sokka's doing, he's preparing a boat in order for them to catch up to Zuko and Aang. Now, this is a lot about Sokka's character, because it shows he's not just strict and defensive. Like, he will admit when he is wrong about something, and he realized he was wrong about Aang, and he wants to go straight into danger in order to right his wrong. And that is a lot about Sokka's character. It shows just how strong a character he can potentially be near the end. And so Katara and Sokka, they are about to leave, and Gram stops them and tells them, have a safe trip. And they start to think about it, and they're like, oh, we're probably not going to catch up to them, are we? And fortunately, Appa shows up, and they're like, "Oh, that's it. We are going to use Appa to catch up to them," and that's what they do. In the meantime, Aang, he is on board Zuko's ship, and he manages to escape in somewhat comedic fashion. Like he accidentally breaks into Iroh's room, and Iroh's just taking a nap, and he's just like, "Sorry," and then he wants back up to the deck, where he has another confrontation with Zuko, and we kind of see the gap between Zuko and Aang's abilities in terms of conventional warfare in the Avatar world, because Zuko, he pretty much just one ups Aang in terms of ability. He manages to knock him off the ship, and the only way Aang is able to recover is he goes into this thing called the Avatar state, and he flies up back onto the deck, freezes everyone around them, and manages to beat Zuko in the process. So in the last few minutes alone, we see that, well, we pretty much confirm what Katalis is in the opening, that Aang still has a lot to learn before he's ready to save anyone. And like this becomes even more apparent when they are flying away from Zuko's ship on Appa, and instead of wanting to go straight to the Northern Water tribe to find a water bending master to teach him, Aang pulls out a map of the world, and he's like, "Guys, wait! Before we do that, I know there's a war going on, but before we do that, we have a few stops to make along the way." And he starts pointing like, "Here, we're going to swim with Elephant Seal, and here we're going to visit my home in the Air Temple. I believe it's the Southern Air Temple, and so on and so on." And it's a kids show, so they're gonna need a few episodes down the line to lighten the mood. Not every episode can be all Zuko like, only in terms of Aang, where he's like, "I need to get to the Northern Water Tribe to learn water bending, so I can go on to learn earth bending, and then I can go on to learn fire bending. That way, I can finally be a fully realized Avatar and defeat the Fire Lord." No, like for both kids and adults, you need the fun episodes in which, instead of just, here's the plot, watch it. We need to have not really filler, but we need episodes to help us learn about and relate to the characters. Otherwise, why would we care about them? So when we move on to the next few episodes, we see just how deep the characters really are, or can really get. So all in all, I would say the first two episodes of Avatar, they accomplish what they set out to do. Like, they introduce us to the characters, they don't exposition dump us with a lot of it, and like they also give us hints of what the mood of the show is going to be later on. Like, it's gonna be serious and epic, but we're also going to remind you that you can actually have fun in life, and you can actually, I guess, for in terms of the initial Team Avatar, you can actually be a kid even in times of stress. And so yeah, that is the first two episodes of Avatar The Last Airbender. They're definitely not the best. Like, even throughout season one, like, you'll see that the show and the creators of the show, they didn't really know what exactly they were going to do with it. Like, they were green, to be honest about it. Like, it was a good season, and it led to one of the most amazing shows ever. But you can see, if you read between the lines, you can see that they were they were trying to still get their bearings with the new show. And for example, If you've noticed in season one, there's not a lot of moments where they will talk about animals, like hybrid animals, like, and that actually didn't become big until like the latter half of season two. Like in season one, they're just like, oh, this is a limo. Oh, this is a flying bison. Like a flying bison was the most incredible kind of animal we had met up until then. Like they didn't have, aside from like elephants still, which I think that's actually a real life animal. Aside from them, there were no hybrid animals. And then, like, the first time I remember a mention of the hybrid animals was when they were being invited to the Oath King's palace for the dinner, and they were just like, "Hey, he has a bill," and they was like, "Surely you mean his iguana bill?" No, just bill. Of course, you mean his alligator bill, right? No, just bill. No, come on, come on. You like he has to have like a giraffe bill or a lion bill or something of the sort, right? No, it just says his bill. And then Toph is like, this place is weird. Like that's what I mean when I say they didn't really know where they were gonna take the show in the first season. It was a good story, and the first two episodes really did help us understand what the feel of the show would be. But like I said, it's just uh, they still, well, paraphrasing Qatar, this show still had a lot to learn before it was ready to amaze anyone.